Hey fellas, I just realised this fan on the ceiling looks like I've got a big bow and the bow in my hair, like this big silver bow. Looks pretty bad, eh? Anyway, who gives a shit? Okay, Mick, I have 5 questions for you, and here they are. Before we met Carl and formed DGM, we used to jam in my parents' shed like for hours and hours and hours. Do you have any recollection of the time or a specific moment when you felt that, yeah man, I think we got what it takes to actually write a decent song and even get up on stage and play it live, even before we even had a band? So it might have just been us two, you know, playing and jamming for people or whatever. So I was just wondering whether there was a particular moment that you might have thought, yeah, this is what I think we got the ability to do this. So I'm just curious if anything sticks out in your mind.
Yeah, there was. And it was after we tried a lot to play cover songs and we realised that we were absolutely woeful at it. So we started to write riffs and see if we could put something together. I really knew that we could sort of do something when the first time that we actually spent like an hour just rehearsing changes. And that's when I knew that, you know, if we were both committed enough to sit there and drill each other like that and try and get something as tight as possible, then that's when I thought, yeah, you know, and I felt really good at that point, you know, as monotonous as some of that work is sometimes, it's really good when you can, you know, do something slightly unexpected or just make 2 bits that, you know, don't seem to fit together seamlessly, and you know, it's just that look on your face, and when you're looking at the other people and everybody's playing and it's in time, you know, the first time that we had that was when I knew, yeah, we can write a song.
Do you remember once we formed the band, do you remember what the first song was that we wrote and played with vocals all the way through, the 3 of us? Because I have no idea. I can't remember which song it was. Jog my memory there.
And the first song with vocals, as far as I can remember it, I think it was probably is either King Shit or Kamikaze. But to tell you the truth, the very, very, very first song that DGM played in any sort of incarnation with lyrics was Song of Self-Confession, and that was in Rat's Ass Studio. And that was when I knew that we had found our singer. I don't know if Carl remembers that night, but I'm pretty sure that Dan remembers conversations that we had after that. But that was actually the first DGM song that appeared in our repertoire anywhere that had lyrics.
The very first time we played a gig up on stage together, how did you feel just before you plugged in and got up on stage, and how did you feel after? Just curious if you remember that. I know this is having to go back too many years to remember, but you know, these are just questions that have come to me that I'm curious about.
How did I feel before and after the first gig? Okay, so obviously to me, the very first gigs were doing open mic night down at the Playroom, and I was terrified the first night, absolutely terrified, and after we finished, I just felt relief because we actually got through it. But the third time that we played there, I wasn't scared before I plugged in because more people were hanging around to watch. And when we finished then, I felt really good because I knew then that the three of us could actually put together some stuff that other people wanted to hear, you know. It's great to create your own art for yourself, but, you know, it's really gratifying if your art appeals to someone else as well.
Fourth question, Mick, is with the upcoming debut album project that we're about to embark on, are you at all concerned that we might not be able to find that performance firepower we once had? I'm curious if that's a concern of yours. For me, I think we'll find it once we get into the swing of it, but I was wondering whether you thought about that.
Am I concerned about the possible, you know, trying to recapture that sort of performance fire? No. I think initially recording is probably going to suck a lot because we could possibly be concentrating too much on trying to recapture that, which is great in and of itself. But I think that if we can concentrate more on just capturing now and not worry about that, then I think it's going to really kick some ass. And it will take just a little bit of time until we all sort of get to that point where it's just like, this is what we're doing now. And then I think it's going to really be freaking awesome.
The last one's a bit of a fun, no, it's not really a question, but I'm curious to know, I want you to do a prediction right now. Give us the date.
And as a prediction as to when do I think it will be ready? Well, because it's a good 20 years since we really sort of sat down and tried to do something like this together, I think it's probably going to take a while to...
Dan, this is your first question. What was the first musical instrument you ever got? And did you love it? Was it a drum? Was it anything else?
What was the first instrument I got? Would have been a bloody recorder in like grade 1 or kindy or something. And I freaking hated the recorder. So that was resolved pretty quick.
What was the most challenging DGM song for you to play? One that I didn't think you struggled with anything, but if you thought that anything was a bit more challenging than the other one, which song was that?
Which DGM song was the most challenging to play? That's a really good question, actually, because I don't think one really stands out, but there were some sections in a few different songs that took a little while to flow, to get tight, to feel comfortable with. And there were some parts in Dirt that sort of took a while to get flowing, you know. Amnesia, that the breakdown with the drums, I would say I never ever felt totally comfortable with that, because I was never totally satisfied with what I played there, and it always used to change a little bit. And so that's the later stuff. Maybe I'm thinking 900 Fun, which is a song I love. That took a little, because I'm trying to be really dynamic in that song, and really follow the vocal line on the hi-hat and the riff as well, and other things I'm doing. So that one's going to be really cool to redo, and how I approach that, I want to keep that feel. So there was I would say those three stick out for me. And then the ones obviously that I sang on back in the day, which was just an experiment. Singing and playing the drums is hard, so I'm not a big fan of that. So that's why I'm passing them on to you, obviously, with obviously revised lyrics that I'm much more happy with.
Do you think there's more of DGM after this? After we re-record all the old stuff? Do you think there's going to be power in the chamber for some more stuff?
And will DGM write more stuff and perform more in the future? I have no idea, man. That's my honest answer. It would be cool if it comes to be, but my main focus is this project, this thing we always wanted to do, and getting it done, and then we'll see. So I don't want to predict on that one, because it would be great, but if it doesn't happen, what can you do? This is where we are in our lives now, but we've all in agreement that this project is something that we all wanted to see happen. So let's go hard and have fun with it.
All right, Mick, here's your 3 questions. In the last 20 years, it's been a long time. In the last 20 years, do you think your style has changed? Your guitar style?
Has my style changed in 20 years? I think parts of it have, but I think it's still... I still like a lot of rhythm, a lot of groove. I do play a bit more complex lines, but not always. But I think the root of my playing is still sort of stayed the same. I like something that has a good groove, and I do like melody. And even if it's as heavy as all get out, there's still, there still needs to be some sort of melody in there, even if it is, just a hint of it. I think that's really important. But it's kind of a long answer to your question, but I don't think it's changed dramatically, but maybe just gotten a little bit fancier, maybe.
Bit of a geek question. I think you might like this. How many guitars do you have now? Which one's your favorite? Which one's your go-to everyday one?
How many guitars do I have now? I've got over 10. And that changes a little bit. I do sell some and then get hold of some. This year I've been very fortunate that my wife has allowed me to indulge getting a few guitars, and it's probably really the first time I've been able to put together quite a decent collection. And as for my favorite, my go-to every day, for some time the thing that's been the guitar that's been making me pick it up every day has been this one here, which is an Ibanez gem. That's the one that I've been playing every day. And to tell you the truth, it was probably only about 3 or 4 months ago where I sort of really got back into it and had that same feeling that I had when I was 16 and I was first learning.
What was the first metal song that got you hooked? What was the first heavy track that got you into metal?
And the first metal song that got me hooked, for anybody that knows me, I obviously have a real passion for hard rock, especially 80s hard rock. Obviously that was the stuff that first got me into guitar, being interested in guitar and wanting to play. But truthfully, the first metal song that actually really hooked me was, of all things, Enter Sandman. I'd never heard anything like that. I'd never heard anything that was just so aggressive, but it still had a lot of melody in it. And that opened the door to get into, of all albums, Ride the Lightning, and then from there it just, all bets were off. But yeah, it's I guess it's kind of a softer song to get into it, but I'd heard And Justice for All prior to that, and not really liked it at all. Didn't really like the sound of it, which is ironic now, given that And Justice for All, as well as Master of Puppets, are, they're just absolutely amazing. Some of my favorite music ever. But yeah, Enter Sandman. Always been interested in your opinion of what constitutes a great riff. What's something that when you hear it, you just get you want to play drums. You want to put your groove to it.
What constitutes a great riff, Mick? I mean, Dan. Let's see. Well, it's got what makes me amped up to put my groove behind the riff, or with the riff, is it's got to have its own groove already. Because I see what I when there's a riff presented to me, what I'm doing is complementing it. So it's got its own groove already. It's already going on. Without adding what I'm going to add, it already kicks ass.
And out of what we've written so far, what is your favorite riff or favorite groove?
Out of what we've written, what's my favorite groove or riff? Well, it's real hard to pick one, but the versing guide absolutely kicks ass, and the main groove, the dirty slow groove and Dirt, it's hard to go past that. And yes, Carl, 900 Fun, I love that song too, just how it flows is cool. And there's probably a lot of stuff I'm overlooking, but they're the three that are popping in my head right now.
Did you ever think that we would go further than just playing a couple of Playroom Jam nights?
Would we ever go further than the old jam nights at the Playroom? Yeah, we always had dreams we would, and I think we knew we would as long as we kept working hard and playing our stuff. We're in at that time in the late 90s, mid to late 90s. There was just so much cool stuff out there, and people were kind of spoilt for great live music. And now I think people are hungry for it again, and it's such a, because of the whole COVID thing, people have been starved of it. And not just that, but what is out there is not as, in terms of what we do, it's just it's not there like it ever used to be. So if it comes back in a little way, some people are going to jump on it really eagerly.
And during that time, at what point do you think that we had actually developed our own sound, something that was unique to us?
When did we have our own sound developing? Or I think when we wrote stuff like Dirt and Guide, I think we really started to hit our straps in terms of developing our own pocket sort of thing.
How do you think that we're going to maintain our own sound moving forward? Do you think that's that just because of who we are and our playing history that we're just going to maintain that, or do you think that that's something that we're going to have to work pretty hard on?
How to maintain that as we go forward? Well, initially, when we re-record, is to find that again for this time. Like you said, like I really understood what you meant last time with your answer, saying don't try and live too much in the past and bring it all back. And in terms of trying to bring it all back and forget about what we have now, or discount that it's a different era, but at the same time still try and tap into that. It's always about balance, man. Anything that works is about balance. So I think going with the flow but still remembering the old, it's a balance. And I think if we do that and not try and replicate anybody else, I think we'll be able to move forward and maintain what we had.
Carl, morning, man. Do you see yourself primarily as a singer, a singer-songwriter, a guitarist, a bassist, or all of the above? Is there one particular thing that, musically that's what you consider yourself, or is it just a little of everything?
I think I'm more a vocalist than a bassist or a guitarist. It just seems like every project I'm in, mostly, I'm up front. It just varies what instrument's in front of me, really, but predominantly I'm a vocalist.
I've never asked you directly what made you join DGM. What made you say, okay, I'm gonna hang out with these guys and we'll see what we can do?
Why did I join DGM? Well, I lived just a couple of doors up, and every weekend I'd go down to the shop where Dan lived and worked, and you guys would jam out the back, and I'd heard you so many times on the weekends just smashing out this groove that was it drew me in like a bug zapper. I was hungry for that groove, and I just hounded Dan and hit him with questions, and then one day rocked up for a bit of a jam, and that was it.
And out of all the stuff that that we've written and you've had to sing, what is the most enjoyable to sing?
I think the most enjoyable song was 900 Fun. It just has this motor like that drives, and lyrically it's just perfect for me to sing. I have 900 fun singing 900 Fun. I think that's why we called it 900 Fun, because it was just so much fucking fun to play.
And I didn't think of this before, but what is the least enjoyable to sing?
And my least favourite song to sing would be Sands, because I don't sing in it. That's it. I just love singing in all of them. They're all awesome.
What inspires the vocal melodies that you come up with? That's not just with any of the stuff that we've written together, as DGM, but you and I have done a bunch of writing together, and obviously you've had a pretty lengthy career just doing completely different stuff. So it'd be very interesting to hear what actually Is it any one thing that you take inspiration from, or does it just depend on the piece of music?
My inspiration for writing melodies and the vocals pretty much just go off the groove, and I'll just start blabbing stuff, ad lib, and then certain words stick, and then they form the structure of the song. Pretty much, it's a weird process, but I do that with all my musical projects in that sort of aspect.
How did it feel the first time you sang in front of a group of people and you had just the power of that large riff and that large groove behind you? So, say when we did that competition and they mic'd us up properly through a massive PA for the first time. I know how I felt holding the guitar and hearing that sound, but you're sort of out the front there, the focus. How did it feel to have that sort of supporting you?
That first gig we did with that full setup was just mind-blowing, and I remember giggling like a little schoolgirl on there. Just the excitement of having that power behind you was, the songs were already powerful, but then to have it driven like that was next level. And I think that feeling afterwards was that, that real Motley Crue kickstart your heart sort of shit. It was an adrenaline rush. It was like jumping out of an aeroplane, butt naked. It was the fucking best, and that's hooked me forever. Like, I'm still live for that live experience. That's where it's at on stage, man.
DGM.
DGM.
Hey, DGM, man.
DGM.